The Williams family, composed of Marcus, his wife Grace, and their two children, Noah and Maya, decided to treat themselves to a well-deserved vacation at a luxurious resort. Renowned for its pristine beaches, Michelin-starred restaurants, and impeccable service, this destination embodied the dream of an idyllic escape. For Marcus, a respected FBI agent, this trip was a rare opportunity to set aside his professional status and focus solely on relaxing with his family. Far from the hustle and responsibilities of daily life, he longed to fully embrace the serene atmosphere of this internationally acclaimed establishment. Upon their arrival, the family was immediately struck by the beauty of the resort. Golden sands, endless turquoise waters, and lush vegetation created an almost otherworldly ambience. Each member of the family felt an immediate release from the burdens of everyday life. Marcus looked forward to spending time with his children, free from the pressures of his job, while Grace, a dedicated doctor, hoped to find a bit of tranquility after weeks of intense work. Noah and Maya were thrilled by the array of activities available: scuba diving, boat excursions, and lively poolside evenings. The resort staff, impeccably dressed, welcomed the Williams family with warm smiles, ensuring them that their stay would be unforgettable. Excitement grew as they explored the amenities: a world-class spa, a breathtaking golf course, and restaurants where chefs transformed each dish into a work of art. For the first time in months, Marcus and Grace felt a long-awaited sense of relaxation, savoring the prospect of enjoying pure pleasure while reconnecting with what mattered most: their family. Beyond the obvious allure of this paradise, the vacation held a deeper meaning for the Williams. It symbolized the importance of carving out time for themselves and each other, reconnecting with life's essentials after being consumed by the demands of work and societal expectations. They promised themselves that these days would be filled with laughter, unforgettable memories, and a magical respite from the chaos of the outside world. For Marcus, Grace, Noah, and Maya, this wasn't just an escape to a dream destination. It was a chance to strengthen family bonds and cherish shared moments of joy, free from distractions. However, the tranquility of their vacation was abruptly shattered when the family encountered an unexpected and troubling situation. A group of local police officers, visibly uncomfortable with the presence of a black family in such an exclusive setting, began surveilling them shortly after their arrival. These officers, driven by deeply ingrained racial prejudices and a mentality of supremacy, exchanged whispers and suspicious glances directed at Marcus, Grace, Noah, and Maya. At first, the family was unaware of the unwanted attention. They basked in the initial hours of their stay, admiring the view and lounging by the pool. But the relaxed atmosphere quickly dissolved when the officers approached them. What began as simple observation escalated into aggressive questioning. The officers accused Marcus and his family of illegitimately reserving their luxury suite. Marcus's heart raced. He tried to remain calm, aware of the importance of not escalating the situation. "We do have a reservation," he said evenly, though he could feel the palpable tension surrounding them. Grace, meanwhile, grew increasingly uneasy, her mind racing. "Why is this happening to us? What makes them so certain we don't belong here?" Noah and Maya, witnessing the scene, exchanged perplexed and worried glances. To them, this vacation was supposed to be a joyful escape, but the unexpected police scrutiny quickly shattered their illusion of safety. The officers seemed uninterested in Marcus and Grace's explanations. Instead, their behavior became increasingly hostile, fueled by entrenched stereotypes. "Show us your papers," one officer demanded, his authoritative tone cutting through the poolside laughter and music. Though frustrated, Marcus complied, presenting his identification and the reservation confirmation. What should have been a routine act now felt like a confrontation. The officer's stern gaze hinted at more trouble ahead. Other hotel guests, watching the scene unfold, began casting curious glances. Some whispered among themselves, while others turned away, uncomfortable and unsure of how to react. Marcus felt the weight of their judgment, a burden that deepened his indignation. Why was their presence, determined solely by the color of their skin, perceived as a threat? Even after verifying the family's documentation, the officers remained distrustful. Instead of apologizing for the disturbance, they made insinuations, implying that the Williams family didn't belong in such a prestigious setting. Marcus and Grace realized their dream vacation was quickly turning into a nightmare, painfully illustrating the persistence of racial prejudice, even in the most unexpected places. The tension peaked when Noah, unable to contain his anxiety, asked his father, "Dad, why are they doing this to us? We just wanted to have a vacation like everyone else." His question hit Marcus like a punch to the gut. It was a stark reminder of the racial injustices that persisted and the toll they took on his children. Marcus knew he had to act to protect his family, but feared the consequences of any confrontation. In this tense context, the family is forced to confront a reality they had hoped to escape. Their idyllic vacation takes a bitter turn, exposing painful truths about discrimination and systemic racism that persist. Instead of joyful memories and laughter, they find themselves ensnared in a situation that challenges their right to dignity and peace. Even on vacation, the officers, arrogant and self-assured, take decisive action without asking a single question, convinced that this family could not belong in such a prestigious environment. Their baseless certainty blinds them to Marcus's true identity as a respected FBI agent, seeing him only as an intruder. Without hesitation, they brutally handcuff him, shocking his terrified children and his wife, Grace, who cannot hide her horror at this public humiliation. Noah and Maya's cries pierce the air, their faces frozen in fear as they watch the scene unfold. Grace's distress is palpable, her heart racing as she struggles to comprehend how such a situation could arise. Other vacationers, initially absorbed in their own leisure, now turn toward the Williams family, their expressions shifting from astonishment to confusion, and then to indignation. Many take out their phones to record the moment, witnesses to a shocking injustice playing out before their eyes. Marcus, despite his position of authority, remains silent at first. He knows that any impulsive reaction could escalate the situation and endanger his family. His mind races as he weighs his options. Each moment of silence feels endless, an eternity during which he fights to maintain his composure, not only for himself, but, most importantly, for his wife and children. He feels Grace's desperate gaze on him, seeking answers, and the muffled sobs of Noah and Maya break his heart. The officers, emboldened by their authority and conviction, grow increasingly aggressive. One of them, a man whose face bears the marks of years on the force, barks orders with a loud and commanding voice, leaving no room for dialogue. "Step back. Don't come any closer," he yells at the other vacationers who have started gathering around the scene. His voice echoes as a threat, thickening the already tense atmosphere. The fear in his children's eyes stirs a deep, simmering anger within Marcus. He realizes his silence could be mistaken for weakness. Yet he struggles to suppress the urge to respond with rage. He knows that more than his own dignity is at stake, it is his family's as well, and protecting them is his priority. At that moment, he knows a crucial decision must be made. What the officers fail to realize, however, is that Marcus Williams is not the ordinary tourist they assume him to be. Beneath his relaxed demeanor as a vacationing father lies a high-ranking FBI agent engaged in a critical mission, with influential connections far beyond their local jurisdiction. Despite the humiliation, Marcus remains stoic. He knows his true identity could turn the situation on its head, but he chooses to act cautiously. During the initial moments of the altercation, he internally resists, observing the officers' behavior and wondering how far they are willing to go. However, when one of the officers approaches Grace too closely, forcing her to step back with a threatening gesture, Marcus knows he can no longer remain silent. In a calm but authoritative tone, he speaks up, his piercing gaze locking onto the team leaders. "You're making a monumental mistake. I am Marcus Williams, special agent with the FBI." A heavy silence descends over the scene. The officers freeze, incredulous, as if they've just hit an invisible wall. The leader of the group stiffens, the expression on his face shifting dramatically, from suspicion to sheer panic. The revelation of Marcus's identity lands like a bombshell. Their previously smug and confident demeanor dissolves, replaced by nervous glances exchanged among themselves as they slowly grasp the magnitude of their error. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, fueled by the astonishment of the vacationers witnessing the scene. For a moment, the silence is total, interrupted only by the distant sound of waves. Then, like an echo, the reactions of the onlookers begin to surface. Vacationers, initially hesitant to intervene, start approaching, their comments growing increasingly critical of the officer's behavior. "This is outrageous," a woman in a swimsuit exclaims, her indignation clear. "You don't treat people like this, no matter who they are," adds another man, visibly outraged. As tensions mount, one of the vacationers, a well-dressed businessman with an air of authority, steps forward confidently to confront the officers, his eyes blazing with anger. "This is shameful. You should be ashamed of yourselves," he declares firmly, his voice commanding attention. Others begin recording the incident with their phones, some intent on sharing the footage online to expose what they perceive as a grave injustice. The officers, who just moments ago appeared invincible, now find themselves exposed and vulnerable in the face of public scrutiny and Marcus's revealed identity. Their arrogance crumbles, replaced by palpable fear. One of them attempts to speak, stumbling through a clumsy apology, but his voice is drowned out by the growing protests of the vacationers surrounding the scene, accusing the officers of discrimination and racism. To further compound the pressure, the local police captain arrives on the scene, having been urgently alerted to the situation. His patrol car screeches to a halt, kicking up a cloud of sand, and he steps out hurriedly, his face tense. As he approaches, he immediately recognizes the gravity of the situation. His eyes meet Marcus's, and he instantly understands the enormity of the mistake his officers have made. "Agent Williams, I deeply apologize for this misunderstanding," the police captain said, attempting to maintain a facade of calm, though his voice quivered slightly under the pressure. He struggled to defuse the crisis, but it was already too late. The vacationers were furious. The scene had been recorded, and accusations of discrimination hung in the air like an undeniable truth. Turning to his officers, the captain's fury and fear of the potential repercussions were evident. Marcus, however, displayed remarkable composure. Despite the frustration and humiliation, he did not raise his voice. His experience in handling crises allowed him to stay calm even in the face of such blatant injustice. "You will be held accountable for your actions," he stated firmly, addressing the captain with a calm yet resolute tone that hinted he would not let this racist aggression go unanswered. Realizing the weight of Marcus's words, the captain grew pale, fully aware that this incident could escalate beyond local jurisdiction and erupt into a national scandal. The officers who had handcuffed Marcus began to retreat, hoping to disappear into the growing crowd. But it was too late. Judging eyes bore down on them, and they knew their careers could be irreparably damaged by the incident. The harm was done, and the Williams family, though angry and humiliated, understood that they were fighting not only for their justice, but for all families who had endured similar abuses. What had begun as a peaceful vacation had transformed into a symbol of resistance against racism. With his legendary calm, Marcus prepared to turn this incident into an example that could drive change. The situation drew the focused attention of onlookers, many of whom continued filming the officers with their phones. Moments earlier, these officers had exuded arrogance, but now they stood destabilized, fully aware they had lost control. The local police captain, rushing to contain the fallout, pleaded with Marcus to resolve the matter privately, desperate to avoid a media scandal. But Marcus, who remained incredibly composed despite the humiliation he had endured, understood this incident transcended his personal experience. As an FBI agent, Marcus was no stranger to complex situations, but this was no longer just about his professional role. He recognized that he had an opportunity to expose a deeper societal issue, the systemic racism that persisted, even in luxurious spaces where prejudice should have no place. For Marcus, this moment became far more significant than a personal injustice. It was an act of defiance against a mindset that viewed Black families as intruders, even when they had rightful access to the same privileges as others. Instead of accepting shallow apologies, Marcus made a deliberate and meaningful decision. He knew that allowing this incident to be quietly dismissed would contribute to the invisibility of racial discrimination that thrived in spaces presumed to be free from such biases. That evening, after discussing the matter with his family, Marcus contacted his superiors at the FBI and engaged civil rights attorneys. Determined not to let the affront fade into obscurity, he mobilized resources far beyond what the local police could have anticipated. Witnesses, outraged by the blatant injustice they had seen, quickly shared videos of the incident across social media. Within hours, the footage went viral, sparking a wave of indignation and solidarity. Comments poured in from around the world, condemning the racism the Williams family had endured. Marcus Williams's name rapidly became associated with a broader fight against racial discrimination, far beyond the confines of a vacation resort. The media, ever hungry for racial controversies, pounced on the story, thrusting the Williams family into the national spotlight. What was meant to be a moment of relaxation and leisure turned into a public battle for justice. Marcus, who had dedicated his career to protecting and serving his country, found himself in a new fight for dignity, not just for himself, but for all families subjected to insidious prejudice. The incident spiraled into a crisis for the local authorities. Under intense public scrutiny and faced with damning evidence, the officers involved were suspended pending an investigation. Disciplinary proceedings were swiftly launched, drawing the attention of civil rights organizations. What should have been a routine encounter morphed into a significant challenge for the local police, who now had to answer to an outraged public. For Marcus, the fight didn't end there. His family, though shaken by the event, stood united and resilient. This painful and humiliating moment became an opportunity for awareness and change. Marcus used his position and influence to condemn such discriminatory practices and actively joined a national campaign to reform racial behavior within law enforcement, particularly in tourist zones, where prejudice often reared its head in unexpected ways. Ultimately, what was meant to be a peaceful vacation on a pristine beach turned into a fight for justice. Despite the trials they endured, the Williams family emerged stronger and more united. Refusing to let this incident define them as victims, they chose to fight for a cause greater than themselves. In the months that followed, Marcus became a prominent figure in the struggle against racial discrimination, proving that even in the most exclusive spaces, inequality persisted, but resistance could prevail. Through their resilience, the Williams family contributed to a movement for a more just and equitable future.